Hey, what's up, y'all? Listen, I wanted to make this announcement on 10/17 yesterday, but I just seen like my statement, my P&L with all my artists. You know, it's almost like a whole bunch of shake-up and it's a whole shit show in the industry right now. But when I look at my P&L and me being a businessman, I think that I'm gonna have to release almost all my artists except for Foogiano and Foogiano. This is a decision I didn't want to make. I thought about it, you know what I'm saying? I could keep all of them under the contract. But I said, hey, fuck it. Let's just make the unselfish decision and, let them take their talents elsewhere. So today, you know what I'm saying, I already reached out to all of my artists, you know what I'm saying, to their lawyers and whatever, and let them know that they're free to take their talents elsewhere. And I'm still looking for new talent to pair up with, you know what I'm saying, Pooh and Foo, and that's where I'm gonna put my focus. And I just wish them the best. And I just want to let everybody know that, because, hey, that's where we at.
No touchdown from his 5-year bid around April 21st, 2026. Producer Spiffo made it posted a selfie with him on Instagram story. His personal photographer dropped a welcome home caption. The blogs picked it up within hours. Pictures spread of him outside, fitted up, smiling, looking free. One person was completely absent from all of it. Gucci Mane. No IG post, no video. No congratulations, no pull-up pic, no studio shot, nothing from Big Guap at all. And that silence hits different when you remember that Foogiano is one of only 2 artists Gucci specifically chose to keep when he cut most of his roster in October 2024. Out of the entire 10/17 lineup, Gucci kept 2 names, Pooh Shiesty and Foogiano, the chosen ones. And now one of them just came home from 5 years, and the boss who chose him hasn't said a word. That contrast is the whole story. To understand why it lands so heavy, you need the background on how Foogiano got here in the first place. In 2020, Foogiano, government name Wami Khalil Brown, was an independent rapper out of Greensboro, Georgia. Tiny town, a few thousand people, 1 high school, no Walmart. What he had was a record called Molly Baby Mama that was moving real noise across the South. He performed at a showcase, won it, sat down with Atlantic Records, and by his own account had already shaken hands on that deal when his phone rang. Gucci Mane's face on the screen. He passed the phone to his manager. Gucci said he wanted him on 10/17. He said it plain, "Man, I want you." And that was it! Foo signed to 10/17 in a joint venture with Atlantic in 2020, with advance figures floating in the millions. His debut album, Gut Baby, dropped November 26, 2020. He was on So Icy Summer, So Icy Gang Volume 1, performed at the College Park Parking Lot Concert Series with the whole new 10/17 lineup. Gucci put the chain around his neck. Foo was talking about going #1 as a unit. That was the energy. Then December 2020 hit. He got pulled over in Barrow County. Deputies found a loaded Glock 19 where he was sitting. He was already a convicted felon from a 2015 case. The gun alone was a probation violation. Bond set at $50,000. Ankle monitor on. Stay in Georgia. He bonded out around December 14th. A few days later, that monitor turned up, melted off, and dumped on the side of a road in Barrow County, about 52 miles from where it was fitted. Warrant dropped. He went ghost. 3 months later, U.S. Marshals tracked him to a spot in Memphis on March 11, 2021. He took the plea. He got 5 years. The momentum he had built in his first months on 10/17 stopped cold. April 2026 lined up with the back end of that sentence, and he walked out. The Cadillac utility truck he came home in, not a Bentley, not a label-issued whip, just a regular ride with the homies, said a lot by itself. The welcome was modest, personal, family-oriented. That ain't an accident. The 10/17 he came back to in 2026 is not the label he left in 2021. Run the roster from that era. Big Scar signed in 2020, dropped Big Grim Reaper, which charted at number 25 on the Billboard 200, then passed at 22 from an accidental overdose. Enchanting was on So Icy Summer and multiple label projects, then passed in June 2024 from a drug overdose at 26. Hot Boy West caught 15 years in January 2024 on multiple felony counts. Keish Day, who was cut before the October 2024 purge, has since spoken publicly about artists on the roster not being handled right, naming Foogiano, Pooh, Shiesty, Big Scar, and Enchanting in that list. Then Gucci made it official. On October 18, 2024, he went on Instagram and announced he was releasing nearly everyone based on a P&L review. He kept 2. Pooh Shiesty and Foogiano. Both of them were behind the wall when he made that announcement. That's the label Foo came home to. two retained artists. One of them is him. The other one is Pooh Shiesty. And Pooh's situation is the most important context for understanding the spot Foogiano is in. Pooh came home around 2025 after his prior federal bid. The energy between him and Gucci collapsed publicly by January 2026. Federal prosecutors in the Northern District of Texas alleged that on or around January 10th, 2026, Pooh Shiesty and 8 co-conspirators ran an armed takeover at a Dallas recording studio under the cover of a contract conversation. The U.S. Attorney's complaint identifies the owner of 1017 Records as RD, Radrick Davis, Big Guwop himself. Prosecutors alleged Pooh pulled out an AK-style pistol, forced a victim to sign paperwork releasing him from his deal, with watches, jewelry, and cash also taken. Federal kidnapping and conspiracy charges came down April 2nd, 2026. 9 defendants. Maximum penalty: life. Gucci responded on April 10th with a Zovan-produced record called Crash Dummy. Lines on it include, "I thought it was a business meeting, but it was a setup. And after all that, boy, you still signed to me." That last bar is a public statement. Gucci is saying the forced paperwork means nothing, and the contract stands. That's the 1017 Foogiano just walked back into. Now layer in the rat cloud that's been sitting over Gucci's head since the Pooh situation went federal. The argument circulating on podcasts and in barbershops is that Gucci's cooperation with investigators, his statements, his decision to push the case forward, made him a witness in a federal indictment. One commentator put it plain: "This is a totally different Gucci Mane than Foogiano ever met. The man who was once trap mythology himself is now linked to court documents and federal cooperation in a case involving his own artist." On top of that, unverified but widely circulated reports say Gucci didn't put commissary or financial support on Foogiano's books during his 5-year bid. Those whispers line up with what Pooh's camp and Kay Shade have said publicly. If that's real, the silence after Foogiano's release isn't an oversight. It's a continuation of an established pattern. So what does Foo actually do from here? He's got 2 lanes in front of him. The first lane is the hostile exit, the Pooh route. That road is poisoned. Federal kidnapping charges, life on the table, a diss record from the boss saying the contract still stands. Nobody is taking that lane again. The second lane is the business route. Run the deal, collect the bag, drop the music, build leverage, and eventually walk out clean on his own terms. And here's the thing about that lane in 2026. Foo has more leverage than most people are acknowledging. Gucci has 2 retained artists. One is facing life in federal court. The other is Foogiano, the only active artists on the 1017 roster available to record, perform, and generate revenue right now. That flips the power dynamic from what it was in 2020, when Gucci was the one doing Foo the favor by picking up the phone. Foo coming home to a label of 1 means the boss might actually need him more than the other way around. There's also the Greensboro factor. Foo is the only one from that city who made it at this level. That's not just a music career, that's a hometown legacy. Whatever he does next has to account for that weight. Going independent with no machine behind him is risky. Staying with a tarnished boss is risky in a different way. The middle ground, a buyout, walking away with his publishing, building from there, is what a smart manager would push for. What's clear is the window is real but narrow. The algorithm moves fast. 5 years is a long time to be off the timeline. The momentum from a fresh release has to be maximized immediately. Whether that happens under the 1017 umbrella or independently determines how much of that momentum converts. Foogiano has said he missed making music more than anything. He was reportedly in the booth within days of release. The next song he drops, the next interview he gives, the next Instagram post from either him or Gucci, any of those things could rewrite the whole arc of this situation. As of late April 2026, no release paperwork has surfaced. No formal split has been announced. Gucci hasn't said a public word about him. Foo hasn't said a public word about Gucci. That mutual silence is the loudest thing happening in the 1017 world right now. The 2020 chain ceremony where this whole thing started looks like a different era. The man who put that chain on Foo's neck is the same man who hasn't acknowledged him coming home. The man who took that chain is the only active artist the label has left. Whatever comes next, it starts with whoever picks up the phone first. Drop your take in the comments. Does Foogiano stay on 1017 or find a way out? Subscribe for every update as this situation develops.